It's the Jarvcast. Welcome to the Jarvcast. What an October 2023. I almost died twice. Only twice. Went on tour and had a great haunted house party. A home haunt. And that was one of the coolest things I've ever done. Right when I got back from the last Nest run, immediately started working on a haunted house just about every day until yesterday, which was Halloween. Even built an animatronic yesterday, day of Halloween. But yeah, a lot of hard work put into it, a lot of fun. It was very special for me. It was something I've really always wanted to do. When I was a kid, my grandpa, Randy Briggs, used to put on a haunted house every Halloween with his work. They were called Flow Systems in Troy, Illinois, and they worked on semi-trucks. And basically, Troy is a truck stop town. And they were right by the truck stops. They had a big warehouse, and during Halloween, they put on the haunted house, and I'll never forget one year in the mid-'80s, me and some friends went, and they let me go as many times as I want, me and my group of friends, because I knew, my grandpa. And the first time I went, I knew it was all fake, of course, but I knew he built it. I knew there was nothing in there that was real, but as a kid, scared the shit out of me. And I'll never forget this Freddy Krueger room they had with a strobe light, and Freddy jumps out and he grabbed me and picked me up. I was like, oh my God, I thought I was gonna die. And I was crying. I was so scared. And I got out, my friends were like, let's go again. And I was like, I don't want to go again, because Freddy's gonna get me again. And every time I went through, they got me, because they knew it was me and they knew they could mess with me. But I didn't want to go through it. I wanted to be a part of it. I wanted to be an actor in it. I wanted to help make it happen I wanted to haunt instead of be haunted, basically. But I was too young. I'd say in middle school, I got to work in one in Collinsville. And I also worked at a home garage haunt in Ghetto Meadow, we called it in Troy. It was the lower class neighborhood, trailers and apartments, and it's where I lived. And there was a guy that had a haunted house in his garage every year, and it was pretty awesome. And it was the highlight of the day. It was going to check out the haunted house. And I knew his son, and one year they let me play inside as an actor. So I'll never forget how awesome it was, just sitting in a dark room waiting for someone to walk in and scaring the shit out of them. It was a lot of fun. So I'm no rookie to haunting, but this is a whole new level, so to say, pun intended. And yeah, like I said, it's one of the coolest things I've done, and you get a sense of accomplishment at the end of it, almost like at the end of a tour. Like I was exhausted after the party. Like I could barely walk Sunday. But yeah, it was one of the coolest things I've done, and something I'm proud of, and something I'll never forget. And I think my grandpa would be proud too. That's what really meant the most to me, was he would think it was cool. You know what I mean? Every time I built something, I looked at it and I said, man, my grandpa would have thought this was really cool. Just to have one of those things that, there's 100 of them at the haunt, but back in the 80s, one of those things would have been really cool, pretty amazing technology today. But yeah, I think he would have looked down and been proud. So what a great Halloween. We had a nice party, A lot of cool people showing up, a lot of friends. Had a great jam session both nights. Friday started off with me and Brent from Lillian Axe, the singer of Lillian Axe, and he was on drums and singing, and me on guitar, and we're just trying to kind of get the jam going. And we played a bunch of cool classic rock cover songs, and then people started joining in, and next thing you know, Phil was on drums with me on guitar. We played War Pigs, and it was awesome. Played Paranoid, played Kiss covers, Black Diamond, and shouted out loud, and had a lot of fun Friday. And then Scour played real late, real kind of out of it, wasn't prepared, made it through a couple songs maybe, but it wasn't a real performance. It was more just a fun impromptu jam. But then we realized we better get our act together for Saturday night. Let's actually put a small set list together and maybe listen to the songs and learn them, a little bit, because we haven't played in years. So it lit a fire under us Saturday, and we said, let's do Crooked, Red, and Tear Gas, 3 songs. And we did, and we played them Saturday night, and it was ripping. So we kind of redeemed ourselves Saturday night. But Saturday night was also a killer jam sesh. We had me and Adam Jarvis started it off doing some Alice in Chains covers, and with Brent from Lillian Axe on vocals. And then the Down Boys showed up, and Jamie Bauer got on drums. Me and him did Mississippi Queen and Symptom of the Universe by Black Sabbath. But halfway through, Jimmy just like slowed it down and made it all doomy and sludgy, and chin 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 chin. Got into the groove going. Next thing you know, Pepper's on bass, and we did like some jam session, just riffing, and kind of made a song. Phil on vocals. It was like a Halloween song. It was like Phil was getting the crowd to chant Halloween. It was pretty crazy. I hope someone's got that on camera. But then from then, Pepper comes over. He's like, I need a guitar. Like, oh shit, fucking Down's actually gonna play. So I give him my LTD black metal guitar. It's 6-string, and it's in standard tuning. But I got my drop pedal. So if you're not interested or familiar with the drop pedal, it's drops your strings down a half step with each knob you turn. So if you put it on 1, it takes you down a half step. If you put it down 2, another, now you're at a full step. Put it on 3, a step and a half. And you can go down pretty low, all the way to a full octave down to where you sound like a bass. So you can run an A B and run your drop off the B into a bass rig, and you got a fat bass sound with your guitar. That's what bands without basses have been doing. But anyway, I asked him, what tuning do you want to be in? And he says, D. I'm like, okay, you want to drop D or all, a full step down? And he says, what? And I'm like, all right, I think he wants a full step down. So I turned it on 2, put on the pedal. I'm like, all right, you're in D. And he says, what? Because I didn't grab the guitar and tune it. He's like, how did it go from standard to D? And he's like, a machine tuned the guitar. It was a pretty funny moment. I think it kind of blew his mind. But anyway, put him in D. Now they have a down jam session, which was not expected. Really cool. And yeah, and like I said, Scour played after that, and then just did some covers and had a good time. Which brings me to the Nest tour, which kicked off with me driving up to band practice and I was going about 70, 75 on the interstate, 55 north, and tire rod snapped. Lost control of the van. Almost flipped it. Flew over a lane to the left. Luckily, there was no one there. Into the median ditch. Luckily, there was nothing there because it was out of control. There's nothing I could do. I'm trying to stop, on the brakes and slow down at least without flipping the thing. And I look and I can't stop where I could have stopped where I was, but it would have been very inconvenient for the tow truck driver and what else. So I try to get to the right side of the highway where I saw there was where I should be, pulled over. And I see a car coming, and luckily he gets past me, and I get behind him and pull into a safe spot and waited a couple hours to get towed, so I ended up missing band practice that night. Luckily, some guys in south of Tennessee, Memphis, Tennessee, helped out and got the tire rod fixed. And it's about 5, 6 o'clock at this point. Everything's closing up on Friday. It's weekend, and they're like, "Hey, I wouldn't drive to St. Louis with that tire. You need a new tire." I'm like, "Well, where can I get a tire?" And I said, "Well, right next door." So I go next door. They don't have my size of tire. So now I'm like, "Oh fuck, I'm gonna have to spend the night in Tennessee." I was looking for hotels at that point, so I'm just screwed. And I asked the guy, is there any chance I could find a place? And he said, "Well, there's a Walmart like 10 minutes away. If you could drive slow enough, you could make it there without blowing your tire up, and they might have your tire." So on my way there, I call, and they're like, "We're closing in a half hour." I said, "Well, I'll be there in 10 minutes. You got my tire?" And they're like, "Yeah." And I showed up, and they hand me the tire. And I'm like, "No, I need you to put the tire on my rim and, realign my tires." And they're like, "You want us to put it on?" Well, yes, please, if you could, because I got to drive to St. Louis tonight. And they helped me out. Walmart hooked it up. And I made it to town that night and had practice the next day. And that's when, on my way back from practice, the brakes go out down to the ground. And it's Saturday, so everything's closed. Or the places that are opened, they don't have a mechanic's not here that can do that job. We don't have a brakes guy today. Nowhere in St. Louis was going to help me, or Collinsville, or Troy. I called everywhere. So luckily, bass player Timmy gets an idea. He's like, "Well, I can go to the auto parts store, get some brake lines, bend them into shape, man, pour some new brake fluid, and take a few hours. Costs about $70." And I'm like, "Well, it's our only hope." And he hooked it up, fixed it, back on the road. Made it to sound check, made it to the load in, and that's the beauty of the tour. Made it to every load in. That's the stuff I care about: being on time, being professional at the show, consolidating your gear, little things like that. That's what I harp on. Being a professional band, taking it seriously. I think a lot of the venues saw that because it's what we did. And I want to say a great job to my band for doing a good job. I'll tell a little story about the last day of tour. We pull up this place called Blackstrap Rock Hall. It's outside of Atlanta, Georgia. Gainesville, Georgia. And the night before, we played a place where people were smoking cigarettes in the bar, and they had no ventilation. And so all my clothes, my jeans, stage jeans, they smelled terrible. So I was wearing some shorts. And The event owner of the venue was a bass player from Hell Yeah. His brother's bass player from Astronaut, and their mom made cookies for us, which was a nice touch. Thank you. Uh, but I'm telling him the story, and he's like, "Oh, that's the worst," you know. I said, "Yeah, you know, I was actually there was a fair going on, and they were selling leather jeans, and I almost bought a pair of leather pants just to not have to wear shorts on stage." And I mean, I wore shorts on stage if it's 100 degrees, but it wasn't 100 degrees, so. And so he says, "Man, our opening night, someone left two pairs of brand new pairs of jeans folded up in the back, and no one's taken them yet. They're backstage, and they had a real nice backstage there, by the way. Great hospitality at this place too. Killer place, killer sound, killer staff, everything about it. We love." And so I said, "Well, if it's size 32, I'll take them." So he goes back and he comes back with a big grin and he says, "My gift to you," and hands me a pair of brand new jeans, designer jeans. And so I said, "Well, we were about to get on stage." I said, "I'll be right back. I got to get my wardrobe changed." Put on a new pair of jeans, and it just happened to be a little tour magic. But yeah, it was great because we had some great shows. I'd say the best was in Blacksburg, Virginia. It was Friday night. They happened to be on homecoming, the college kids. So it was a lot of kids out drinking and packed the place. And we played an hour-long set, threw some covers in the mix to at least play some songs that people knew. But it was very strange. Like the first couple of covers, the kids were really into. We did Nine Inch Nails and Mississippi Queen, and then we went into Jailbreak, and I was like, "Oh, they're gonna love this," and they all looked at me like they did not know Jailbreak by Thin Lizzy. And we kind of lost them there, and then until we go back into the Nest songs, and they loved the Nest songs. And then the next cover, they didn't know Smashing Pumpkins' Disarm. And it's like, I guess the young kids, ain't listening to Thin Lizzy and Smashing Pumpkins, I guess. I don't know. But won them back with the Nesty songs and had a great show and made some good money. That's the beauty. Didn't lose any money on the tour. Everyone made a profit. It's great. Great success. And we're excited to do it next month. We're gonna, this month. Today's November 1st. And we will leave, I guess, the 17th. Play Austin, Texas, the Chess Club. We got, from there we'll go to Odessa. I haven't been there in 15 years or so. El Paso, same there. Then Phoenix, LA. We'll do a few shows in California. And then we go up to Oregon, Seattle, Boise, Idaho, Salt Lake City, Denver, Omaha, Kansas City. So we got a couple weeks of tour this month. It'll be great. And now, let me talk a little bit about the second time I almost died. In October, there was a super fog, they called it. It's basically a very foggy day, and there was a smoldering fire going, and mixing with the fog and the smoke made this super fog. And I mean, I could see 10-15 yards in front of me at the most, no exaggerating. Some said it was zero visibility. And I was going to the airport to pick up Paul Booth, famous tattoo artist Paul Booth, and I see on my Google Maps that, there's a red red line showing there's a traffic jam ahead. And I cautiously, when it was going 45, 50, and a 70, and like I said, you could barely see. Sure enough, right in front of me, I see everyone slammed on their brakes, and I have to slam on my brakes. And luckily, I didn't hit anybody. And I'm in the middle of a 3-lane highway with 2 ledges on each side, and then under us is a swamp. I mean, we're on a bridge. So my first instinct was I need to get the fuck out of this van because I'm about to get smashed by who knows what and how many cars. It's inevitable. Someone's going to hit me. And if there would have been a field there, I would have ran out of the car as fast as I could and ran into the middle of that field and watched my van get smashed. But there was no field or nothing there, and I couldn't get out of the van because that would have been way dangerous. So I just braced for the crash and looked in my rear view and, had those blinkers going, trying to alert people behind me. And I saw someone coming up, and sure enough, I saw them slam on their brakes and go sideways, and it was a big van, bigger than mine. It was one of the new Fords, and the Ford Transit, and didn't smash me too hard, but you could see he smashed the guy to my right. He had a choice: hit me, guy to my left, guy to my right. One of the three. And he chose guy to my right, and back of his van hit mine. Boom, boom. I'm like, there's the first one. And then another one came and hit me again. I got hit twice. But very little damage. One scratch, one small dent. Very lucky. Didn't get hurt in any way. I didn't feel any whiplash or anything crazy. I was braced for it. I knew it was coming. And yeah, it was very scary. But that was the second time in my life that's happened where I was like, okay, I can't move my vehicle. Here comes. It was even scarier the last time. It was a giant bus coming at me, sliding down the hill, and it was out of control, just like I was. So there's nothing that the bus can do but try to not run me over. I was in a Corvette. I would have literally gotten ran over. And I saw it skim by me. I mean, it was half of an inch from bashing my Corvette. And luckily that bus missed me. And just the other day, luckily, those cars missed me. But sure enough, behind me was pop, 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 pop. It just boom, boom. Kept going. So it was over 150 vehicles in this crash. I'm not exaggerating. You could look it up. It was insanity. You could barely see anything. It was like a war zone anyway because of all the smoke. It looked like bombs had went off. But there's firefighters running down the highway. There's emergency vehicles clearing a path. And of course, like I said, I'm right in the middle. I'm in the way. So I back over to the left as far as I can. And, as they're flying by, I realize I can do a little quick 3-point turn and drive down the wrong way. And about a half mile up, there was this exit, and drive down the wrong way down the exit. That's my only way to get out of here because I could not go forward. I could smell the fire getting worse. And that was apparently 18 semi-trucks on fire with hazardous chemicals. So I wouldn't have been going anywhere. So I did the right thing by getting out of there. And so I did. I backed up, went down the high interstate the wrong way, and went down the exit the wrong way. There was a sheriff at the very end blocking people from entering the highway, and he didn't say a word to me, luckily, or try to stop me. And I made a right and then another right, so I'm on a frontage road on the left-hand side of the 55 South, and I look to my right and I see the fire, and I took some video of it, and it was pretty brutal. There was a lot of deaths. I don't know how many there were, uh, but yeah, I was lucky to get out of there and lucky that my van's still running and just a crazy moment. But made it to the airport on time, picked him up like nothing happened. But on the way back, even he noticed how like insane it was over the Causeway Bridge on the way back. They put it down to one lane and 25-mile-per-hour speed limit. So that's how crazy they did close it down for a little bit, and 55 South was closed down for a couple days while they cleaned it up. Pretty insane situation, but luckily got through it. Like I said, very lucky person. I should go buy some lottery tickets. That's for sure. But yeah, uh, that's the story. Tomorrow I'll head out for St. Louis to go see Friday night Mammoth, Van Halen's son, Eddie Van Halen's kid, Wolfgang. Then Pantera and Metallica Friday night, TWA Dome. At least that's what I call it. I don't know what they call it these days. America's Center, I think. Something like that. But that's where the Rams used to play. Greatest show on turf. Marshall Faulk and Kurt Warner and Isaac Bruce. They're going to be at the 50-yard line. 60,000 people. St. Louis. Going to be a rager. And then Sunday I'll go also to see Metallica. So I'll go see 2 Metallica shows. Very excited for that. See you there. Hit me up, jarvcast@gmail.com. And I'll see you next month. Later.